Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Later on the document cam at prisonplanet.tv, I'll show you this headline: G20 shaping a new world order. CNN Money, that's meetings coming up this weekend. A lot of your phone calls. Jamie, Carl, Tony, Kyle, others, your calls are coming up. We'll have him for about the next 20, 30 minutes. He's on a train, and he's attorney Phil Berg. He was, of course, the Deputy Attorney General of a major state as well, Pennsylvania. And he is the guy with ObamaCrimes.com who tried to ferret out who his daddy really was. Was he a U.S. citizen eligible to run for president? Where was he really born? And they acted very suspicious and covered all of this up. And they also lie and say his dad wasn't a Muslim. Now, it's not an issue that his dad's a Muslim. It's that they lie about it when it's admitted. They lie and say he wasn't in Muslim schools. They lie about everything. Now, this guy's a puppet, but he certainly couldn't pass, with what we know, a security clearance. So I wanted to get, but he's now the president. I wanted to get Phil Berg, who's a Democrat, on, and he's also a member of the NAACP, in fact, one of the heads in his community. I wanted to get him on to talk about the Supreme Court, where it went, what happened in those hectic days in and around the election. Phil Berg, thanks for coming on with us.
My pleasure. I'm speaking to you from Washington, D.C. today. I had to come down here for some business to fulfill my desire for all Americans so that the U.S. Constitution is followed. I'm meeting with some people here who hope to help me in my endeavors to see that our Constitution is followed. Okay,
give us chronological, if you can, what happened right before the election, what happened at the Supreme Court, what happened with some of the other suits that others brought, why they're being so secretive with the birth certificate, claiming Social Security numbers can't be seen when Social Security numbers are not on birth certificates.
Well, I think the reason that nothing has been produced is because I think I'm right on target, 100 or 1,000%, that this is the biggest hoax ever attempted upon the American public in the history of our government. Barack Obama taught constitutional law. He's an attorney. When he was sworn into the U.S. Senate, he swore to uphold the Constitution. And what's he done? He can't produce documentation that he meets the qualifications for president. The qualifications are only three. One, you'd be 35 years of age. He is. The other, you've lived here in this country for 14 straight years. And three, that you'd be a natural-born citizen. He's not natural-born. I can tell you right now that he was born in Kenya. But I'll even tell you, even if you buy the argument that he was born in Hawaii, he would have lost his citizenship. And people are probably saying, how can you lose your citizenship? But let's just back up for a minute. He was born in Kenya, and if your listeners if the father and mother are both from the citizens of the United States, wherever the child is born, like in other words, if your listeners go to Mexico or Jamaica or Japan, or how about even Kenya, and while on vacation they have a child, as long as both parents are U.S. citizens, when they come back, that child is considered natural born. But that's not the situation with Barack Obama. And he says, even the other day, I think he called himself a mutt when he was talking about the dog, and he said he's a mutt. He has a different background. His mother was a U.S. citizen, but his father was not. Well, in that situation, you have to look at the laws in effect at that time. The law back in August 4th, 1961, was the fact that if only one parent is a U.S. citizen and the other parent is not, the U.S. citizen had to live in our country for 10 straight years, which she did, but 5 of those years had to be after the age of 14. 14 and 5 is 19. She delivered him when she's 18. So according to law, he's not natural born. Now, some people are saying, well, that's only a technicality. Well, it's the law. The law is what the law is. You can't just say it's a technicality. So on that basis, he's not natural born. Because if he's born in Kenya. And let's look at what's going on in Kenya right now. They're jumping up and down. They had a national holiday this past Monday, and I've heard that they're going to mark his birthplace as a national shrine. So, I mean, that's just more evidence that's more evidence that he was born.
And his grandmother is on video saying, I was there when he was born in the village.
Well, one thing, let me say, the video is, we've checked the translation on the video. That is not accurate. But we do have on our website an audio taken about 3 weeks ago by a minister, which it's in Swahili, but we have the translation also on our website, which is obamacrimes.com, where she says, I was in the hospital when Barack Obama was born here in Kenya. But the video, if you get someone to translate what they're saying in Swahili, it doesn't match what's on the English front. I don't know who put that up. See, people are trying to turn it around and try to make people like me be not considered. Well,
yeah, they're planting tar babies or honeypots. Now, the question I have for you is, where does it go from here?
Okay, where we are right now is the judge dismissed my case at the district court level, and what I did is I appealed it to the Third Circuit, but immediately to the U.S. Supreme Court because time's a wasting. And the Supreme Court, I did file for an injunction to stay the presidential election. They didn't grant that, but I could understand that because there's a whole election process involving people from school board to commissioner all the way up to president. But the case is pending. My writ of certiorari is there. Barack Obama and the DNC and the other defendants have till December 1st to file a response. They don't have to, but that's it. After that date, and by that date, we're having a number of individuals around the country file what's called a friend of the court brief. After December 1st, the court will decide whether to take the case or not. I'm hopeful, and I just spoke today to two law school deans, that they will take the case because, in effect, they're saying by that decision that no one has standing to bring a suit against the Constitution, which is really ridiculous, especially on a constitutional requirement for president. So if they take the case, then depending what their decision is. However, I have also filed another action, which is now under court seal, so I can't discuss it, but at the appropriate time I will discuss it. It's a backdoor attempt to make him produce what he really is. Now, in addition to that, some people here I'm in a meeting in Washington, D.C., some attorneys here have just filed a suit in California, I think Mississippi, they're filing lawsuits against the electors, or to tie up the electors. Obama is not president. He's not even president-elect at this point. He got more votes, but the votes really don't mean anything under our system until December 15th when the electors meet in every state throughout our great nation. And then it really isn't final at that point because then they send it to Congress, and it's the first or second week in Congress. Congress meets. If one member of the House and one member of the Senate raises questions, then Congress has to hold hearings. So we're moving ahead on all these bases, and we ask your listeners to write to people and pressure, even to write to all the U.S. Supreme Court justices to express how they feel. And we have their address on our website if you need that, because this is like unconscionable. This is like he either is a natural-born citizen or he's not. And if he is, why hasn't he produced the records? It's very interesting that he hasn't produced any. We know nothing about him.
Well, Phil Berg, speaking to that specifically, I mean, you're a Democrat. You're an NAACP guy. You didn't have an axe to grind here. You found out about this, as you told me a few weeks ago and a month ago, because you were researching it because you'd seen the challenges on the Internet and didn't believe them, and then found that where there was smoke, that there was fire. But regardless, what did the Democratic Party do? I mean, they could have found lots of qualified black Americans who have been here for generation after generation, can prove their pedigree. I mean, when you're talking about a president, it doesn't need to be all clouded and questionable. I mean, much less a president whose father never even really lived here and wasn't a U.S. citizen and was a communist. And, I mean, that alone, and then all the weird Marxist and, I mean, the establishment clearly can blackmail him with this now, and whether it's true or not, it's the covering up that's so suspicious, and they have been doing that. And the denial now by his followers, I see them even denying that he proposed a 1 million man civilian intelligence force and compulsory draft when it was on change.gov. I mean, his followers are delusional.
Right. I mean, what you're just referring to, they put on their website, and then there were so many complaints about it, they changed it, and now they're denying they had it. I mean, we need some this is a candidate for change. We need some honesty in government, and I guess he fulfills that, though. He's a candidate for change because Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor of California, had been talked to about running for governor. What did he say? He said amend the Constitution. So I guess Barack Obama is a candidate for change because he says, I can walk on the Constitution. I don't need the Constitution. But you know what? We need the Constitution, and we need this nonsense.
They may start claiming that Schwarzenegger was born in the U.S. And then if you say he wasn't, they'll just say you're a conspiracy theorist, you know.
Right. Schwarzenegger, what he should have done is just filed. According to the law proposed right now by Obama, Schwarzenegger should have just filed and said, hey, you know, I'm natural born, you know, just I'm not going to listen to you. That's what's absurd about this whole thing. So we're going to proceed against the electors. We're going to do everything in our power. We think we have to.
Why didn't he just release it instead of a receipt for one that looks like it's fake? Many experts have looked at it. Why? Why not nip it in the bud? It's become an international issue.